who is the Laboratory Director of the Center for Technology and Government. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to be here this afternoon. We'd like to begin by appealing to your imagination. We'd like to present 3 scenarios and ask you to put yourself in these situations. First, imagine that you and a friend want to open up a gift shop. You're delighted to find that New York State has a toll-free telephone number that helps you with required business permits. You call the number. The line is busy. You try 3 more times with the same result and then give up, muttering about government inefficiency. Now, imagine that you have 5 acres of woods in the Adirondack Mountains. You finally saved enough to start building your dream house. You ask the New York State Adirondack Park Agency if you will need a special permit to develop your land. You wait for an answer. 10 days stretches into 20 days. Finally, 2 months later, you get an answer. They tell you you don't need a permit, but meanwhile, you've lost the summer building period, waiting for your response. Finally, imagine your small community stunned by a violent murder. Only hours before, the killer was evaluated in the local hospital emergency room, but the psychiatric assessment in the ER failed to capture the person's potential for dangerous behavior. Each of these stories is true. All involve public agencies struggling with complex information and mission-critical problems. All could be helped with information technology. All involve risk, the risk and the challenge of investing public resources in an information system that could help solve the problem. Each of these is an opportunity to learn. Faced with problems like this, a group of committed and forward-thinking state managers, frustrated with the way government often develops its information systems, invented the Center for Technology and Government.
Each year, New York State spends about $1 billion on information technology. And each year, the Center for Technology and Government takes on a handful of carefully selected projects that might help us make a better investment. The Center provides state and local agencies with the ability to experiment and to learn what works and what doesn't work in low-cost, low-risk pilot projects before high-stakes, high-cost information systems are developed. The Center's project deliver results. Our prototypes showed how business permit information can be delivered in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. How the park agency's response time can be reduced from weeks to hours. How the expert judgment of leading psychiatrists can be made available in a decision support tool for emergency room personnel. All of these results were generated before agencies invested money and credibility in new systems. Our first customer, the Commissioner of Motor Vehicles, said our real product is 2020 foresight. Working in partnerships, the Center helps agencies explore ways to improve services and choose and test a variety of technologies. These partnerships among public agencies, technology companies, and university faculty and students are a linchpin of our program. Without agency partners, we'd have no link to real public problems. Without our more than 30 corporate partners, we'd be limited to a narrow range of obsolescent technologies. Without academic partners, we would have no neutral venue to work in and leave no legacy of lessons for the future. Instead, with all 3 sectors working together, we've created a realistic, vendor-neutral, nonpartisan environment for problem-solving and knowledge building. The Center's unique strength is its ability to enable innovation by others. We believe our most valuable product is a set of proven practical tools that reduce the risks inherent in technological innovation. Since we work in an open public environment, government as a whole benefits from the activities of each small team. When projects are complete, we hold public seminars and demonstrations, publish formal reports and working papers, and distribute results over the internet. In short, we believe our program is building and sharing a set of principles and practices that help public managers apply technology with foresight at any level of government, anywhere in the country, in the context of any public service program. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the panel? Tom.
I'm interested in the program's replicability without you, Director Dawes, in other states. Can you tell me how it would work in another state?
Yes, we believe that what's replicatable about our program is not the way we are constructed and organized, but the way that we work. The techniques that we've developed for stakeholder analysis, for process improvements, for testing technologies, for prototyping, for looking at how a problem operates in a real organizational environment with real customers can be documented and learned and replicated and used in many other environments. I don't think it's necessary to create a center that looks exactly like ours in other places in order to teach what we think we're learning that's generalizable to other situations.
Margot.
I'm wondering what some of the criteria are that you use for selecting the projects you're going to work on. You mentioned that they're carefully selected, and in my mind, the first thought that comes to my mind is that these are the more easily solved problems, or the ones that you can use to point to successes. And yet I know that that isn't true, and so I'd like to know what some of the criteria are.
We issue a call for proposals periodically and invite state and local agencies and nonprofits who do business on behalf of government to make proposals. They go through a peer review process and then a pretty rigorous staff analysis of the semifinalists, something like what we're doing here. We look in the final selection process for projects that have three characteristics: mission-critical problems for the agencies who propose them, high information content so that information technology could have a chance of helping solve the problem, and third, characteristics that make the problem representative of a class of problems, so that when we learn something about psychiatric assessments in emergency rooms, for example, we're also learning something about crisis decision-making in general, and then we can apply those general lessons to other projects and other organizations in the future.
Barbara.
Also,
Excuse me.
if I could add one other factor is that this is linked to the policy programs of the state government, that we have representatives from the governor's office and the executive branch who actually do the selection of projects. We don't select the projects ourselves, but just similar to here, we work with the governor's office to select projects that will have an impact.
Do you personally have problems with making sure that these programs are ones that can make their way into academic journals? You, yeah. You're the professor, right?
Yes, right.
And I imagine you have to worry about what's publishable.
That's not one of our major criteria, although everything that we do has had academic spin-offs in the sense that there's always an interesting policy issue, there's always an interesting management issue, there's always an interesting technology issue that the particular projects bring up, and we work with faculty from a number of schools in developing those approaches.
But that doesn't come into the selection.
Not into the selection process at all. No.
Okay.
Barbara.
Dr. Dawes, I want to talk about replicating in a little bit different way as it relates to your project, and you mentioned the $1 billion that's spent on technology, and if you looked at that nationwide in the governments of America, it would be billions and billions of dollars, and this is a way to use those dollars effectively. As you have gone through some of the demonstration technology work with the groups that you have selected, and have given them some answers, hopefully, about what's the best way for them to go in terms of what they need to do. Looking within your own jurisdiction, not to another state trying to replicating, but in your own jurisdiction, have there been enough learning experiences from those sample cases, if you will, that like governments or like agencies can learn from that experience and thereby replicate within a like agency as versus a whole state trying a new project like you've started?
I think there are a few general lessons that we feel comfortable saying. We think we're pretty sure about these now on the basis of the cases we've done so far. One is that the hardest job is to really define the problem you're trying to solve, and spending time understanding who the customers are and what they want and what the capabilities of the agency trying to deliver a service are and might be is critically important. Then improving the processes by which services are delivered takes precedence over any technology that you might apply to those services. Choosing an appropriate technology that fits a well-designed